Returning to our top story, Nvidia's latest results, the chipmaker's revenue came in at $30 billion. It's up 122% from a year ago. Earnings per share, EPS, 68 cents above expectations. And the outlook is more in line with what everybody was looking for. 33 billion for the current quarter and the ramp up of its latest Blackwell chips in Q4. Dan Niles is the founder of Niles Investment Manager and is with me now. As you look at these numbers, they're in line with what the market was looking for, but are they good enough?
Yeah, I don't think they are, unfortunately, because you have to remember this stock has been the name that's led the market higher. And if you look at how much they beat their revenues by, it was about 4%. Only a year ago, they beat revenues by 22%. And if you look at the EPS, it's about a 5% beat. And a year ago, they beat that number by about 31%. And then the guidance, the revenues are only going up about 2.5% from where the street already has it. So you got to remember, this is a stock that's up 750%
Right.
from the end of 2022. And it has been the poster child, as it should be, for the AI trade. And so now people have to think, am I going to see a digestion period in demand, much like I saw in the middle of 2022 before this thing called generative AI hit the scene?
So taking what you've just said and splitting it into two, in terms of the industry, the AI going forward, from what I gather from what you're saying, these numbers say either a slowdown, it's not going to be as far or as fast, never mind Nvidia's share price, just as the industry, that this is going to be tougher and slower going forward.
Absolutely. And that's what we've been saying now since we wrote about this back a couple of months ago, that you've spent a lot of money on AI infrastructure. But if you think about it, at a certain point, companies want return on that. And the forward numbers from Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, three of the biggest customers for Nvidia, all went down after they reported their June quarters, even though their CapEx spending on AI went up. And so at a certain point, you're going to slow down your spending if you're not seeing a return on all that investment in AI.
Now, let's flip to the other side of the same coin, which is Nvidia's share price, which is predicated on stronger and higher expectations. I mean, on an EPS, on a straightforward basis, if the expectations are not that good, can this share price be justified?
So you have a short term and a long term. And what I would say is if you go back to the build out of the internet and you take the end of 94, when you had this thing called a web browser come out from Netscape, from the end of 94 to its peak, Cisco's revenues went up 15.5 times. Their stock price went up 4,000% over that period. For Nvidia, the same thing. If you look at when we heard of this thing called ChatGPT and OpenAI, since the end of 2022, their revenues are up 5x, not 15.5x. And the stock is up about 750%. So much like with Cisco, where they saw drawdowns of 37% in their stock price and 38% in their stock price in 97 and 98, you're going to see similar volatility with Nvidia because these big companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they spend a lot, then they take some time to digest it, then they spend more. I think we've got several more years of spending ahead of us. But in the near term, I fully expect them to digest what they've already spent.
Right. But you raised Cisco, and funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, I looked at Cisco. You and I are old enough, I suspect, to remember dot-com boom and bust and all of that. And I looked at Cisco. Yes, if you take from peak to trough of the boom and bust, you do see that sharp fall. But if you extrapolate out 5, 10, 15 years, then you see back to gains as the maturity of the internet comes into play. And one would expect surely to see that with AI longer term.
Absolutely. I mean, I think from my perspective, if you want to take a long-term view, I fully expect Nvidia's revenues to double from here over the next several years. And I think the stock's going to double from here over the next several years. It's never a straight line up. And I'm sure if we go through a digestion period, and some of your viewers may remember this, we had a massive build out during COVID because everybody had to get online. And
Sure.
so all of these same customers, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they're all buying a ton of chips from Nvidia. And then in the first part of 2022, Nvidia's revenues went down 28% sequentially over the course of 6 months as these same customers digested that build. So you're going to get these fits and starts going forward. It's never a straight line. My big picture is once you get through some of this digestion, the stock's going to march and double again.
And we'll watch, and we're grateful, sir. Thank you.